वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः। एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धय ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। येषोऽधिकतरस्तेषामव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धरता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्। मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय। अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि। अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्। श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते ज्ञानात् कर्मफलत्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्। अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी। सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः। अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभ परित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः। समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः। तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेता स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः। ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। उपस्थित भगवत भक्तों के रूप में मेरी अपनी श्रीमद् भगवत गीता भगवान के मुखार बिंद से निकली हुई अमर वाणी, और जो भी जीव श्रद्धा सहित इस अमर वाणी को धारण करता है, वो जीवत्व को छोड़कर ईश्वरत्व की प्राप्ति करता है। इसमें कोई संशय नहीं। ये जीवात्मा चाहे जिस देश में रहे और चाहे जिस भेष में रहे, गीता सब काल में समान रूप से कल्याण करने वाला एक अनुपम एवं अलौकिक ग्रंथ है।
स्वामी Geeta Kiran, healing session, please. Thank you. There is no volume. We can't hear anything.
Please
No
put
audio.
this on. Is it possible to raise volume a little bit?
संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि स्वाहा तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् जितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वे विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसङ्गे गच्छन्त्यमूढः परमव्ययं तत् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत् Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhabhayet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kansakyanu Ramadanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Even though I feel overwhelmed, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I feel turbulent inside, I love and accept these feelings. I'm a unique expression of life, overflowing with fullness. I'm harmony, I'm clarity, I'm peace. I'm divine intelligence, thinking the right thoughts, taking the right actions, surrounded by the right people, to live fully and purposely. It is safe for me to get well. It is safe for me to be healthy. It is safe for me to be happy and wealthy. I know the healing power is within me, and I trust it to guide me on the journey. Precious Lord of the universe, just now I'm opening my heart, my mind to Thee. I open my heart and my mind to trust Thee and to know Thee. I embrace trust. I embrace trust. I embrace trust. You can slowly open your eyes and know that you are a unique and beautiful spiritual being of pure consciousness, and all you have to do is to shine brightly, and you will be helping the world and the universe. Jai Shri Krishna and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much in advance. All right. With that, I'd like to respectfully invite our Guru Bhai Joshiji to please take it over. Joshiji, over to you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Can I share the screen? I need the screen. Geeta Kiran. Screen. Can you see the screen? Okay.
Yes, the screen is on.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam, Kansachanuramardanam, Devaki Paramanandam, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mahavidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Before we begin our program as a regular way, I want to mention that two of divine souls departed in last week. One was Suresh Kumarji from Malaysia, a very regular attendee and speakers also participated with us. He left because of complication of COVID-19, and also we lost a very, very senior, dedicated, noble soul, father of Dinesh Ahujaji, Nanda Ahujaji in India. So we take few moments and concentrate to get the energy and power from divine to have the peaceful stay wherever they are. Let's give ourselves 10 seconds. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Dear friends, these things happen. We have seen it, we have experienced it around us. Someone we know to leave. And that reminded me of 16th verse of second chapter again, which we have discussed many times in the past. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sasa. The unreal has no endurance. And the real always remains. Brahma always remains. Atma always remains. But anything that comes in this Mayavi world has a time label. It just have time and then leave. It feels sad, but once who has perfected that this sharir will leave one day. It just hurt to some, but someone who know, they know transitory things do go one day. So we should know it and be prepared. We are also going to be in the same line one day. Then I want to bring in the same context 10th verse of 15th chapter. Utkramansam sitam vapi bunjanam vagunandesa vimudana nupasyanti pasyanti jnana chaksusa. The ignorant people do not perceive that Jivatma resides in the body. And while Jivatma, which is engulfed or enriched or totally affected by the five indriyas, five senses, live the way it lives. And we are mostly helpless to get out of it. It is the grace of Guru, Gita and Gopal that we know for sure that these five senses controls us through the more omnipotent man or mind. The mind is the boss, and we give voluntarily these powers by our five senses. And then mind makes us dance to its tune. Well, when we are born with vasanas, we are pre-programmed, hard programmed, and we are in that muddy water of this Mayavi world. We live there, we enjoy things that we need not believe that we are enjoying because that is temporary. Remember the first verse now. Everything temporary has to go. So we enjoy it and again keep doing and doing and doing. And our Shastras and scriptures say that we have taken maybe hundreds and hundreds of previous births. And good God gives us the opportunity again to come in the form of human. And fortunately, we being the students of Bhagavad Gita and grace of Maharaj Sri Hariyaji, we are talking about these five senses, that we are servants of these five senses, and they need to be understood and channeled properly. And again, when we leave this body, the Jivatma leaves this body, it leaves with the fragrance, a joint, combined effect of these five senses and man, the mind, and it goes in the next verse. Just bring one verse back, ninth verse. Shotram Takshuhu Swaram Cha Rasanam Dharameva Cha Adhishaya Manishaya Visaya Nupasevate. These five sense organs, ear, eye, skin, tongue, and nose, grouped around the mind, and embodied soul enjoys these, and with some effect given, taken this life, and some total, when leaves the body, it lives with these senses. As we all know, like the air moves from a garden of flowers, will carry the fragrance of that garden, or it moves in the dirty, foul area, it takes that kind of smell. So now Jivatma, after leaving the body, will go and look for the right place to get into the womb of another mother or woman. And it has been documented in medical journals that Jivatma, let's take the memory. At sometimes they are documented so well that someone born keeps the past life's memory. It is well documented. So when Jivatma leaves, it leaves with lot of memories, and again same Vasana over and over and over and over and again. So our goal as the students of Bhagavad Gita is to know the power of these five senses and do all the yoga necessary that these five channels are not put in the wrong way. Voice should be used to take Lord's name. Ears should be used to listen to scriptures. Eyes should be used to see highly spiritual images. And extremely important that these five senses must be used properly, otherwise they will carry you away because of your vasanas of many lives. But with the grace of Guru, we are all initiated by Gurudev Hariyaji. We have been given that lamp or lit that we can understand these five senses and they should be put in the right order. For that, Gurudev has given us what to do. In a very simple way, he has mentioned and told us, do yagyartha karma. When we get up in the morning, say 3 times, today I'm going to practice yagyartha karma. I will do some service, seva. I will do grouping, gathering, company of good people. And I will follow the path of satsanga. By talking to yourself in the morning, slowly, slowly it will sink in your regular system and you will find where can I be used to help somebody? Where can I become, for momentarily become yogi? Find the way to help somebody through your knowledge, through your resources, feeding poor, giving shelters, and God will give us the opportunity to become Yagyartha Karmi. So by doing Yagyartha Karmi, that last moment in our life will be very, very peaceful. And without boasting anything, friends, my grandfather taught me Hanuman Chalisa when I was 4 or 5 years old. When I was in America, a year later, he left his jiva, this body. And very surprisingly, minutes before that, he goes to washroom, comes out, takes a shower, bath, and sit down in his Padmasana position, little bit of shivering, and he left his body. He was carried by sitting. And before that, my younger brother who was there, he says, Dadaji, I'm going to get doctor. No, don't worry about doctors. Just take care of your grandmother. And he left very peacefully. So it is possible that any time can be peaceful once we know the power of Guru, Gita, and Gopal. So I brought this particular topic because we had 2 of our good people left. The Suresh Kumari ji is in my eyes and mind. I can see her smiling and talking about Gurudev. But that body, which is temporary, leaves, and the permanent thing always remains with us. To begin with, 8th verse of Bhakti Yoga comes to mind again and again. Mayeva man adasva may buddhim niveshaya nivsishyasi mayeva asa urdhvam na sansaya. Lord clearly says, give your mind to me. Simply means give your 5 jnanendriyas your intellect channels to me and put your intellect with me too. And then you will always be with me. And once you are with Sri Krishna, as and when you keep reading further and further, there's no depth to how far deep can you go with Bhagavad Gita. Same verse, you are somewhere, and keep going deeper and deeper, and there is no end to it. Dear friends, remember, Gurudev used to say many times, it is possible to count how many hair we have on our body. It is possible to count how many stars are in the sky. It is possible to count how many jewels are in the ocean. But how many jewels are in Bhagavad Gita, nobody has yet been able to find, and nobody will ever be able to find in Mother Gita's ocean. So if we can get one or two jewels out of Gurudev's voice and Bhagavad Gita, we are guaranteed to have said, I got it made, I got it made. And you can feel very clearly, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanudara, Satya Sri Vidyo Bhuti Dhruva Nite Vatir Mama. We are very fortunate. We are talking about Bhagavad Gita, spoken by God Himself, not made by any human, and feel very fortunate to talk about it. And anyone who has Shraddha, the complete faith in the voice of Sri Krishna, there is no doubt that we will live in Swarg without dying. We will be in Swarg, heaven, moksha, while living in this body. It is right here, and we must practice to do it. So gentlemen, ladies, brothers and sisters, we pray God our two divine souls make their journey smooth and be peaceful. That's all we can pray. With this, I will conclude that. Usually I do use one verse again, Yogastha Kurkarmani Sankastatva Dhananjaya Siddhi Siddhiyo Samabhutva Samatva Yoga Uttate. With the blessing of Mother Gita, we will be able to learn to live in Samatva Bhav, neither negative nor positive, right, central, Samatva Yoga. And once we have that, everything. Last week I was talking about Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahma Agno, Brahma Nahutam, Brahma Ivasena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So next week I will take upon again 4th chapter and talk about most Karma Yoga. I will keep pounding. Let me tell you, once we know the art of Karma Yoga, the rest thing follow itself. Let's have the blessing of Gurudev, which is always there, and keep him on the front, get his blessings, and keep ourselves Karma Yogi like Sri Hanumanji, and keep energizing ourselves and make the bhakt of Sri Ram. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. Thanks to you all. At this time, I request Dr. Prasadji to take over. Thank you, Dr. Sahab.
वंशी विभूषितकरा नवनीरदाभा पीताम्बरा दरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठा पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखा दरविन्दनेत्रा कृष्णा किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री Gurave Namaha. First of all, my heartfelt condolences to the departed souls. Saroj Bahanji was very much known to me when I was in Malaysia. She was a regular visitor to Gita Ashram and dedicated service. I can't forget that. Well, it is God's will to have them at His feet, and they have left us. Coming to the topic we are discussing, last week I had presented before you some thoughts on verses 38 and 39, through which Lord is trying to explain to us through Arjuna as to how this evil, this foe, this sin-producing agent, the desire, envelops our wisdom. The process Lord has given so beautifully as to the mechanism through which our wisdom is covered. He has given us 3 examples, as I mentioned last week. As fire is enveloped by smoke, as a mirror by the dust, and as fetus by the womb. The 3 mechanisms that mentioned here, it tells us the seriousness or depth of involvement of wisdom by desire. And of course, this is unappeasable as fire. We have mentioned that last week as well. Now, if you look a bit deep into it, as to how this desire is enveloped by wisdom, wisdom is our buddhi. Lord has talked about 3 stages. Stage 1, this is a stage where the smoke is seen and indicate that there is a fire underneath. Very easily one can blow away the smoke and existence of fire can be exhibited. This is Sattvika Buddhi. It just little bit of effort is required and you are there. You can see the presence of Brahma within you. And that is what the wisdom is supposed to do. The wisdom is with us, which enables us to understand the presence of Brahma within us. As we develop, as we sharpen our intellect, as we purify our mind, sharpen our intellect, that reflected consciousness which comes through the witness consciousness within us, that glimpse of that can be seen at a stage when your buddhi is sattvic. You require little effort. While the stage 2, the example given is that you have to make more effort to remove dust from the mirror. The reflecting surface doesn't allow the grace of Brahma to be reflected on that. And for that, more effort is required, and that is the Raj. You have to have that person. The power, the buddhi is what is called Rajasic buddhi. But then, if third example, the stage 3, where the embryo is so deeply covered by thick layer of womb, it is very hard to get rid of the desire, very hard to get that away. It takes long time. You have to keep waiting. And that is the tamasic buddhi Lord talked about. But remember, Lord said that this is ever present. He says that this they need all the time it is there developed. All the time. The Nitya Vairina, the word here is Nitya Vairina. Even though there are three stages, but in each stage it is varying. Because if it is in Sattvic stage, it will take you down because it's a very, it will not allow you to be looking up towards Brahma, but it will take you down. That's what happens when one is afflicted by desire. So that is insatiable fire must get rid of that. So Lord here has just made mention of the three stages and three kinds of buddhi, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. It has been mentioned very in great detail when you read the three kinds of buddhi in chapter 18, verse 30, 31, and 32. There, Lord describes in great detail what is understood by sattvic buddhi, what is understood by rajasic buddhi, and what is tamasic buddhi. But in nutshell, one should realize that when we talk of sattvic buddhi, the person is able to differentiate what is wrong, right, or what is wrong. He understands what it should be done, what should not be done. And he takes correct action. He understands the right thing. He discards the wrong thing. He performs the action that should be done and doesn't perform the action that should not be done. And that's how one which endowed with sattvic buddhi is able to lead the path up to liberation. He get rid of this bondage of the samsara and is able to liberate, be one with Brahma. And that is the stage of sattvic buddhi. A person who is endowed with rajasic buddhi, he is unable to do so. He doesn't understand what is right, what is wrong. He also doesn't take the right decision to perform right action and not to do the wrong action. So he is in dilemma, which is Bimuda. He is deluded, not able to understand correctly right. He doesn't take right decision. As such, he has no opportunity to lead the path up to the liberation or get rid of the bondage. While tamasic buddhi, he performs everything which is opposite way and he is far from getting liberated. Now, having said that, Lord is now talking about the hideouts of the enemy. This enemy, which is desire, where does it exist in our body? If you know the hideouts of the enemy, one is able to counter the effect, one able to attack that. And so nicely, Lord tells about Arjuna, Indriyani manobuddhir asya adhisthana uchyate eteir bimohayat yesha jnanam abritya dehinam. You see, Lord is repeating this abritam. Several times talks about abritam, abritam. This must be understood what Lord is trying to convey. He is trying to convey that this enemy of yours, the Indriyani, Mano, Buddhi, Asya Adhisthanam Uchate. The adhisthana of this enemy, this desire, are what? The senses, mind, and intellect. These are the places where they are the breeding ground of desire. And from those hideouts, when they are there, they attack the intellect. Lord has mentioned earlier also, see how he is, when he has, Lord has to emphasize that certain thing, he repeats, not at one place, several places, so that it goes inside our mind, doesn't go, doesn't hide. We think, oh, well, this is a desire I have fulfilled, doesn't matter very much. But no, the moment you give in at the level of Indriya, then it goes to the level of mind, and then goes level to intellect, and you are finished. So one has to understand and realize that the enemy can attack from these hideouts, the senses, the mind, and intellect. And what it does, by attacking intellect, by clouding the intellect, it dilutes the embodied soul. You see that? Ete jnana avritam dehinam. That is, it covers, it clouds the intellect, and that's how the soul is deluded. Now you can realize how soul can be deluded. Soul is Brahma. There's no change, nothing happens. But it may not happen. Witness consciousness is soul in us. But the activity, as we have mentioned several times, and this is a point I want to emphasize, re-emphasize, that we have this antahkarana, mana, buddhi, chit, and ahankar, which is the reflecting surface, so that the Brahma in the form of soul or witness consciousness is reflected onto it. Now, if this surface is having dust on it, has a deeper thickness covering on it, if it is clouded by something, then even if Atma is present there, the witness consciousness, that the spark of divinity within us is there, but is not being reflected and passed on to the body in the purest way or purer way or pure way. It doesn't affect, it involves the whole body and whole system when the embodied soul is deluded. And that happened to Arjuna. He was a Sattvic person, yet his mind was clouded, his mind was deluded. Something happened, and all his senses, mind, and intellect, you have seen chapter 1, so clearly described the state of physical and mental status. He was not able to stand. Gandibam sansrate hastat tvakcheva paridhajyate najasakno avasthatum brahmati vachatame manaha. So mana, buddhi, chit, everything was shattered, Arjuna. How? Why? It is simply because of the desire for him. It is simply because the delusion which caused his mind to be deluded, intellect was deluded, so was his embodied soul, and was not able to, couldn't recognize the enemy within him, and that's how his senses, mind, and intellect got clouded. So in this verse, through this verse, Lord is trying to explain the modus operandi of this enemy, the desire, and how the intellect is affected. The all attack is on intellect, because that is the reflecting surface for the witness consciousness to pass on. Now, this, if we go in a one step after another, Lord, what is trying to say, that in order to achieve his objective of possessing something. A person, once he gets that thought within him to possess, to have something, he gets in contact with that object. That contact of senses with the object is the start of the whole problem. And once that happens, the sense organ infatuates the mind. It फुसलाता है मन को, बहला, मुझे चाहिए, मुझे चाहिए, ये मुझे चाहिए, ये इंद्रियां मन को फुसलाती है कि चाहिए मुझे। क्यों? बच्चा की तरह से ये सारे इंद्रियां जो हैं वो चाहती है, मैं ये रसगुल्ला खाना चाहता हूँ और रसगुल्ला खाना चाहता हूँ, इसके लिए he will have to move somewhere or go somewhere. He will persuade his mind, or like parents and his child, he persuades his father or parents to take to the market and get something. So the mechanism is such that once you have desire to have something, which you have a contacted sense has contacted the sense organ has contacted the sense object, the sense organ then asks, requests, and infatuates the mind. Then what mind does? Mind then misleads the intellect. Even if intellect is saying, no, no, that is bad, you are a diabetic fellow, you shouldn't be taking the sweet. But then, you see, he justifies, doesn't matter, a little bit, my sugar is very low, I am taking the medicine, so why not take it? So there is a discussion between the mind and the intellect, and the mind happens to mislead the intellect. And when the intellect is misled, the discriminating power of intellect got lost. He loses the discriminating power, and so intellect is part of antahkaran. Antahkaran loses its reflecting capacity. The reflecting capacity from the witness consciousness, that gets loosened, and that one succumbs to the force of desire and get lost in oblivion. So Lord says then, last verse, Tasmat Indriyanya do Niyamya Bhartarsabha Apmanam Prajahihenam Jnana Vijnana Nasanam. As I mentioned to you earlier, these 8 verses are golden verses which has concentrated information about Kama. Lord has hammered, hammered, and hammered. And finally he tells Arjuna, "O Arjuna, O best of Bharata, Tasmad Indriyani Adau." These 2 are very important. In the very beginning, at Adau, in the very beginning, what you do? Niyamya. Niyamya what? Indriyani. If we can take this message and see that at no point we allow our senses, in the very beginning, we must stop that. I will come to that, how we stop those. But this is the key word, the last verse of this chapter, where Lord is saying to Arjuna, in the very beginning, Adau, use word Adau, I'm stressing, you control, you bring your senses under control and slay this enemy desire, which is the embodiment of sin. It is Jnana Vijnana Nasanam. It destroys the knowledge, the intellect, and thus takes you far, far away from realization. Now, let me go through what, okay, there are a couple of verses more. Lord has what has done, he has described in, we call it anatomy, one after another, what controls what is after another. Lord has, in verse 42, Lord says, Indriyani paranyahu, Indriye bhai param manah, manasastu parabuddhi, yo buddhe paratastu saha. Lord, in this verse, makes Arjuna understand that all the time you think what is superior to what controls what. Once you know that, the lower boss and higher boss and highest boss, like that, so you deal with them accordingly. The senses are the one who has got the 10 antenna, and it has the capability all the time to interact with the world. Now, if we can deal with our antenna, not allow things to get in touch with our senses, then mind can be saved. So the senses are superior to the gross body because they have the power to interact with the world. Superior to senses is mind. You know that very well. Beyond mind is intellect, and beyond intellect, that paratastu saha. Saha is Brahma. Saha is self. Saha is Atman. So the relationship is very clearly mentioned, and I'm sure all Gita Party who are here, they all know this very, very well indeed. So, having known that, Lord says, Evam buddhe param buddhva sanstabhya man atmana jahi satrum mahabhavo kam rupam durasam sadam. This is the last verse. He says, knowing that the soul to be superior to the material intellect. You see that? Once he has graded that, he is now telling that if you once have known that, then the soul, that is the witness consciousness, is superior to the intellect, which is part of antahkaran, that is reflected consciousness. Oh, mighty arm, subdue the lower self, that is sense, mind, and intellect, by the higher, and kill the formidable enemy called desire. This is the one which Lord is again emphasizing, that having known that the senses are first to be tackled, you first tackle the material aspect in your body, that is man, buddhi, chit, ahankar, senses, and mind, subdue them by your mighty self. Now, what Lord here is pointing out, that if one is able to have realization by some means, bhakti, jnana, is karma yoga is one way where you go from one level to another level like that. But if you know that what is the most superior, and that is the realization of Brahma, one who is realized soul, he will automatically not allow any of the material aspects in the body to disturb it. I will come to that a bit later. Now, can I finish this slide or? Okay. Now,
please, yeah, completely.
okay. Now, there are a couple of slides which will tell us. I have summarized what we are supposed to do, how we should handle desire, how to overcome desire. So there are 4 levels: sense level, mind level, intellect level, and level of Atma, soul. So therefore, there are 3 hideouts, and soul is supreme. So I have put together how to overcome desire at sense level, at mind level, at intellect level, and at soul level. Let me go through these. At science level, at sense level, the most important verse is verse 58 of chapter 2. Yada sangarte chayam purmunga niv sarvasaha indriyan indriyarthe vesa tas pragya pratisthita. Just go through because you all know about it, that the tortoise withdraws all from all sides, withdraws his senses from the sense object. Lord has said that in chapter 2 itself, that one should withdraw the senses from the sense object. Don't allow the contact to develop. And once you do that, then the chain is broken and information then will not be conveyed to the mind. The other important part of this is dhyato visyan purusa sanga se. We know that if we allow our senses to dwell on the object, then again attachment will start and the process will go up to the mind and to the intellect also. So these two verses tell us how to deal with the desire at the sense level. Now, what about the mind level? Again, there are two verses from chapter 2. Lord has said, Prajahati jada kaman sarvan parth manogatan atman nevat manatmustaha sata pragya satadochase. These are the examples of behavior of those who are steadfast wisdom. Prajahati jada kaman sarvan parth manogatan. See, even if the manogatan, if the senses have sent the information to mana, man should be able to prajahati, kill, completely destroy, completely cast off. Doesn't allow the sense object, senses, sense organs to impinge upon it and फुसलाने का काम नहीं करेगा. मन इतना स्थिर है उसका, is so steady in wisdom, he will not allow the sense object to disturb it. Prajahati sarvan kaman. Each and every, not that one desire is fulfilled and let another desire be obstructed. No, no question of making a choice. One must take prajahati, each and every, all the desires that come to the mind. So at mind level, one should be able to stop this. So the other way Lord has said, yato yato nischarati manas chanchala masitram tato tato niyamyetat atmaneva vasamde. If mind is going here and there and creating that desire within him, he should be able to abstain from that, or should withdraw the mind and direct it towards Brahma. That way, one should be able to deal with the desire at the mind level. At intellect level, we have discussed this before also, that verse 70 of chapter 2, apurjamana machala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvattakamayam pravishanti sarve sasanti mapanoti kami. His intellect is so, he has developed a high threshold at the level of intellect, so that even if there is information from mind bothering it, it will not lose its control, lose its discriminating power. Its discriminating power should be high enough to be able to not give way, not get swayed by the information from mind. He is very much, as example is given of the rivers pouring in water in ocean, and ocean's level remain the same. So one is able to withstand that. Now coming to the soul level, then again here, if you have reached that level, well, you are Brahmanya dhaya karmani sangam taktva karotya lipatena sapapena padmapatrimimam basa. If one has dedicated himself completely, all his action to the Lord, abandoning all attachment, then of course he remains untouched by sin. Papam nalipyate, as Padma Patrimibam Basa, the water to the lotus leaf. On the lotus leaf, water cannot stand. That example is given to say how one can raise his level and submit everything to Lord. He say, another example, another one verse is Naiva kinchita karomiti yukto mannej tattvavit pasyan srivan prasnan jigran asnan gachan supan susan. All the activities are performing, but he is not performing. So he sees a karma in karma. This we have also talked about a bit, but should be a person if he thinks I am not the doer. All the activities are going on, but I am not the doer. And it happens to each one of us. We do perform certain actions which go later on. You will say, oh, what did I, was I doing that? So that is the level of one is able to perform action without thinking that it is the he who is doing. If that happens, then of course one is at the soul level, avoiding far, desire is far away. But then there is no need to overcome desire for one person who has risen to that level. I will explain this next week. I'm going beyond my time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sir. We have Dinesh here. So Dinesh, do you want to share a few moments?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for the prayers from my dad. He passed away last Saturday, and we came right after that. I got to India. We left within 15 minutes of finding out that he passed away on front of our. We had a video conference, and that's when he passed away on Saturday morning U.S. time around 9:50, 6:15 here. We left around same day in the afternoon. We did the funeral on Monday. So he spent about 15 years in Rishikesh. So we came to Rishikesh to do Guru Pran, and we'll do the Asthi Visurgin on the 10th on Monday. And Guru Puran will get done on the 13th, which is next Thursday or so. And after that, we'll leave from here. But he was a divine. He prayed every day. He did Surya Namaskar every day, all life long. And he was a railway guard when he was working. One lion came to while in the train, and it was him and the lion, and he just lied there, and lion touched him, smelled him, left, and he walked away. So there's so many miracles he did. He never took a single penny the whole duration of his work, but everything God gave, and he's prospered from small meager salary, but he brought us all up. So I'm thankful for the values he gave us. And I thank you for all the blessings you guys gave and wishes.
I'm very fortunate to have met him many years ago in Delhi with my father.
Yeah. He was last year when I came in August, he was very sick. We changed all the medication from allopathic to Ayurvedic, and his blood pressure became normal, and he lived. That time the prayer was to have him go at when the Surya is of Uttara, of the northern, and now it is northern, and he left. So God really listened our prayers too. Yeah.
I had a few more slides of workshops that Geeta Kiran ji performs in Thailand, but I think we have run out of time. So next week we'll show those beautiful slides, how she conducts the yogas, and also there are some running yoga. So we'll do that next week, Geeta Kiran ji, because we are over our time now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is nice here. Please take care. Whatever it needs to be done in India, we are praying for him. And that's all we can do. And he was a noble soul. So thank you so much. Jai Shri Krishna, everyone. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, everybody who attends regularly.